I think Anish would love to see anything. Oh, Kaya, you're right.
Result.
D4, it's a normal-ish opening for now.
H4, if you're a cheapskate like that Twitter guy earlier, you can look at it for free. No, he's gone for a more positional approach. Okay. This is very sensible.
Yeah, this is normal chess.
We don't want to see normal chess, do we?
Of the Fianchetto Grunfeld. I think that's what Peter Svidler called it in his Chessable course. And this white queen coming out, defending a pawn in the centre. Very logical stuff. Here, I'm surprised to see Giri thinking this bishop move, by far the most normal, the most logical. And, OK, Magnus already putting pressure on black centre. We call this kind of half the Slav in a way, because black's pawns in the middle of the board on light squares protect each other. But now, after this trade, white has the most central pawn. White has a bit more space. Black has given up a whole bunch of squares. Is
this the Russian variation where you bring the queen out? I mean, I remember there was some games. Botvinnik had this a couple of times in some very important competitions. Normal moves coming up here, both sides developing, and it really is about is white's centre strong?
Minimal risk. One plan for white, for Magnus right now, would be, for example, OK, he drops his queen back first, and I'm expecting black's queen to come out and maybe offer this trade. And then one idea for white is to move his rook across in order to support a pawn push. And, yep, here we go. This is the current position. And instead of this rook move, white's bishop comes out.
Absolutely worth it. And we see a trade of queens. And if as an amateur, I've learned quite a lot in the 6 months. Awesome courses and great teachers. Just a superb.
Oh, no, I think it clashes with this, doesn't it?
So, yeah, I don't
Guernsey.
think...
Guernsey.
You know, I actually got to know and chat to John because we would have some coffee together in Jersey. I love Jersey, by the way.
Yeah, fantastic.
Which is a big deal, because Jersey is a very small chess community, and to find 5 women players...
Yeah, Chessable gonna help the Jersey team towards the Olympiad, and I think many people are wondering if you guys will play. We have a bunch of moves, though.
We do have a bunch of moves. The queens have left the board, so we're in kind of a middle game / end game right now. And white does have a bit of a weird pawn structure. I'm still unsure whose position I like here, to be honest. White has a bunch of weak pawns, especially on the B file, but white has a lot of space and a lot of open lines. So we'll go into the plans maybe a bit deeper in a moment.
All right.
But
I might be there, yeah. We'll wait and see. Maybe, yeah.
Will you be there, Kaya?
I will probably follow you guys from here. What do you think England's chances are?
Do you want me to be really optimistic, or do you want me to be very English and play down our chances?
I think they have great chances, Kaya. I think they really do. Yeah, they're a strong team.
Yeah.
They do really well. They work really well as a team.
Yeah.
And it's going to be really exciting.
There's going to be David, Gwaine.
We've beaten them a few times.
They also have lucky jackets.
You go to your weekend competitions, and one way I could always spot a chess player, like let's say I got off the tube and I wasn't sure where the venue was, I just look for the person carrying the plastic bag, because it'd always be the chess player, it'd always be that person with his maybe shirt tucked outside their jeans and carrying that plastic bag, and he's a chess player.
The evaluation bar is really shifting towards black's favour, and on the board, I think I'm inclined to agree. I still don't think white's out of it. I think Magnus has decent chances, but let's jump in to show what has changed. And it's all about the queens coming off, first of all, but it's all about these pawns. They are doubled, they are isolated, they are weak, they're definitely targets, but how can black get at them? Black's safest, but also best move.
He's played it. Wow.
You are a fortune teller.
I got a positional idea right. Wow. Oh, he mouse slipped on the next move, though. But this is also very logical. No, it's not a mouse slip. Yeah, I mean, I thought he'd push it one square, but this also makes sense, right? But opening the position's risky when you've given up the bishop as well. So,
bishop, but instead Anish says no, he wants to open things, and after we see a trade of pawns, which is guaranteed to happen. Yes, this pawn is attacked, but it can be easily defended. White just lifts up the rook now and covers all the holes. The problem is these pawns, they are weaknesses, but you can't really attack them anymore. If you drop your bishop back, then white can just remove one of the attackers of the pawns. For example, bishop takes knight, and, very, very level position. But black here has an isolated pawn. Anish definitely doesn't want that.
He will have to maintain his form, not just today, but tomorrow as well. Although he gets bragging rights.
Yeah.
And also tie-break advantages.
Absolutely.
By finishing top of the table. But what about the reverse?
Aha.
I think it's just bad etiquette. I don't know if it's any contractual obligations, but it's just...
Those ideas, can you, you know, straight away. So I don't know. It's strange. I don't know what the deal is with, you know, never been asked.
Whether secrets are part of it in terms of which openings they can talk about, which openings they can discuss with others. But yeah, it's at the very top level, I think it's a different game. It's a lot of cloak and dagger. It's like a spy novel.
Yeah. Secrecy.
Yeah.
I remember that game where, the rook has centralised itself. I remember that opening idea that Gufeld, and I can't remember who it was, that they concocted this fantastic idea together.
Yeah, meanwhile on the board we have seen a trade of one set of rooks, a bit of manoeuvring, nothing really has changed. The pawn structure is still exactly the same. The trade of rooks has meant that black occupies the D file, the open file, but no real entry squares or no effective entry squares into the white camp. White's king, meanwhile, centralising itself. I think Magnus here, he's getting ready for a scenario where maybe the remaining set of rooks get traded off, and then White's king is the quickest to the centre. White's king might win the race. And
is it possible for the black knight to jump in and give itself up?
This is maybe what Anish is thinking about, a bit of a flashy move. The black knight here sitting, not really doing too much at the moment, and Jovanka wants to jump it in to attack this bishop. And it looks like the black knight is under threat, but if the white rook moves and captures this black knight, then it loses the protection of its own bishop. And black's rook can now capture the white bishop, and suddenly the black rook creeps behind, starts grabbing some pawns. This would be very good for Anish, but I think the idea after the knight jumps in, which it has done, is that the rook doesn't move, instead the bishop retreats. And now the bishop keeps everything guarded. And this has happened, the black knight now leaping back, and it's going to reposition itself potentially on this eternal outpost where it can't get kicked away. Not sure what it does there, really, but it looks nice and pretty. And I'm pretty sure we'll see Magnus improve the king. There we go. And after the black knight moves, then at some point we might see a trade of the remaining rooks.
Okay, interesting move there from Anish, playing very quickly, moving the pawn by his king 2 squares, because you have to be very careful, you know, moving pawns, because you can't move them backwards, so it surprises me a little bit. Maybe not a problem as white doesn't have a knight to jump into those holes created. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it seems fairly even still, doesn't it, this position? Very
even, and it's kind of both sides have created a barrier. With this pawn push, black not only has created a path in for his king towards the centre, but he has locked down on any white pawn pushes. This pawn can't push forward safely now. This square is covered twice. This pawn can't push safely now. This square is covered twice, and same for this pawn. So it's very hard for white to make progress. He's dropped his bishop back to one of my favourite squares for this bishop, just because it's nice and safe, but it doesn't actually do anything here.
The Grischuk square.
The Grischuk square, yeah.
Why is it called that?
I remember watching a great game. I got my, I was cheering. It was David Howe with the white pieces against Grischuk. And David had a very good win by playing this similar idea in the Isle of Man competition.
Yeah, it's funny, in that tournament I won 3 games with white by putting my bishop on this square.
Interesting.
I think it's just coincidence. They weren't necessarily great moves putting the bishop here, but it keeps the bishop nice and safe for later, and we might be about to see... I know whenever Jovanka makes that noise, she thinks it's going to be a draw. We might be about to see the white bishop come forward.
I have to watch out for that if I play you. What was it again? Do it again?
Let's go back to the players. We are about to see a result. The players are repeating the moves, and there we go. Abrupt, but nothing to do. The players repeat.
So it is a draw between the 2 top players so far in the tournament.